So the continuation of the previous video. So we talked about epoch, and I said it's the smallest unit of geological time. So what does this mean? The meaning is we try to use when we're talking about a model, the model is a representation of what we use to calculate the time. Let me give an example. Let's say, for example, you want to have a model called the dates, or you want to have a model called age. Let's have a model called age. So if you want to use a mathematical model to find the age of a person, so we can have T1 to be birth date, so we can have T2 to be what present date. So to know the age of a person, we say the model age equals to T2 minus T1. So if you know that if the person's if present age is 2025 and the person was born 1960, so you can easily use this model to know the age of this person. So this is exactly the same way how we use this epoch, period, eras, and eon. So epoch is the smallest unit of geological time, which is more than 1 million, because there are so many events that happen between those periods, so we cannot really quantify them. So that's the reason why we use every event that happened, which is more than 1 million years, we call it epoch. Period is a time is a term method used to represent any event that happens two or more epochs. The meaning is one epoch is one epoch is equals to more than 1 million years. So two epochs will be what will be 2 million years and more. So three epochs will be 3 million, four epochs will be 4 million, five epochs will be 5 million until 10 million years. So the meaning is epoch could be from 2 million to what to 10 million years. And the next one is eras. The eras consists of two or more periods. So we know one period is equals to one period is 10 million years. So two periods will be 2 times 10, which is going to be 20 million years. So, or more, so till 100 million years. So this is how we find the errors. The eon is the longest, so it includes billion of years. So events that happen billion of years, we use the word eon to represent it. So now let's talk about the geological time, how we sectionalize it. So we divide the geological time into the Precambrian era and the Phanerozoic era. So the Precambrian era is an era which is comprised of the first 4 billion years. If you could still remember, in the beginning, would say the Earth formed around 4.6 billion years ago, right? So out of this 4.6, the first 4 billion years, which is around 90%, of the Earth history is formed it accounts for the Precambrian era. What does that mean? The meaning is if the whole Earth is around 4.6 billion, so let's calculate how many percent is going to be the 4 billion of it. That's 100%. So this is going to be 400 divided by 4.6. That's going to give you 89.9%, I think. So which is approximately 90% of the Earth history. So this is an era called Precambrian. So the meaning is out of the 4.6 billion years which we've had on the Earth, around 4 billion of it was in the Precambrian era. So this era, it's the time where we found the first life. So the first life appeared during the Precambrian era. So it is the same time also where we had autotrophic prokaryotes. So these are prokaryotes, which called cyanobacteria, which are actually able to photosynthesize. So as you know, during the process of photosynthesis, where the H2O combines with the CO2, which are the main gases we had before, so they would produce C6H12O6 plus oxygen. So this is how they contributed to the atmospheric oxygen. Eukaryotes emerged. So during this time is when we found the eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are organisms which have when they have a nucleus and they have membrane-bound organelles. So this is the first time we found them and on the earth. So also during this time, the food chain were generally short and simple. It wasn't complex like what we had today. So these are the events that happened during the Precambrian era. So you need to know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events. So at least know some of these events very well. So the next one after the Precambrian era, it is a Paleozoic era. So during this Paleozoic era, it is the ancestors of major animal groups. They started to diversify. So there was diversification in these organisms. So this is why we call this time the Cambrian explosion. It's called Cambrian explosion because so many different organisms actually appeared. So the first life on land on the land also emerged during this era. So the first life emerged during this era. So it is the same era where we had mass extinction. So the mass extinction actually led to the demise of more than 90% of marine organisms. So the mass extinction, I think, was actually linked to the drop of the meteorite, which actually destroyed most of the organisms on the earth, and which was said to also made the dinosaurs go into extinction. So these are the three events linked to the Paleozoic era. You need to understand that properly. Cambrian explosion, the first time life was formed on Earth, and it was the same time life was destroyed in large number when we had extinction. Now, the Mesozoic era, mind you, the Mesozoic era comes after the Paleozoic. So it is in the Mesozoic era. We had dinosaurs, we had birds, we had mammals, and all of them evolved. They changed from one form to another form. So there is a boundary called the KT boundary. It is actually a layer of material that has unusually high level of iridium. Iridium is a special element which is not naturally found on the Earth. So the KT boundary is found between the rocks of the Cretaceous period and the rocks of the Paleogene period. So what is unique about the rocks of this Cretaceous period and the Paleogene period? Iridium is rare, very, very rare on Earth, but it is common in meteorites. So, suggesting that a massive meteorite struck the Earth around 65 million years ago. So, this is how we got the iridium. So, this area, this layer of material that has a usually high level of iridium is called the KT boundary. You need to understand that boundary very well. This meteorite impacted the change in the climate on the Earth. It wiped out dinosaurs, many marine invertebrates, and also many plant species were being wiped out during this period. So another thing we need to understand is the geologic changes during the Mesozoic era change the course of evolution. So it changes every course of evolution. In the lower grades, in grade 4, 5, I think we taught you then about plate tectonics. So we said that plate tectonics, these are large plates, several large plates. Now the Earth's surface is actually being placed on top of. So as you know, we talked in the beginning about the Earth. We said we had the center. So we had the crust, we had the mantle, we had the core. This is the core. This is the mantle, and this is the crust. So because the mantle is actually partially molten layer, so it allows some movement of these tectonic plates, which is placed on it. So that makes the Earth to move apart over years. Around 225 million years ago, the Earth was being joined together. So over time, around 135 million years ago, the Earth started to move away from each other. I mean, the continents started to move away from each other because the plates, the tectonic plates, or the plate tectonics are starting to migrate away from each other because of the movement of the molten magma. So now, around 65 million years ago, this is where we found ourselves. You could see the Antarctica and Australia were still joined together, but now they're far separate away from each other. So this tells you also that there have been changes in the position of the continents over time. Now let's talk about the Cenozoic era. During this Cenozoic era, mammals became the dominant land animals. So mammals became the dominant land animals. After the mass extinction at the end of the Mesozoic era, mammals of all kinds began to diversify. So the humans appeared very recently during the current Neogene period. So the Cenozoic period, during the mammals were dominant. There was mass extinction of many mammals, and also they diversified, and also the humans, we also mammals, we appeared recently on the earth. So this marks all of the things we need to know. So just a quick review about the quiz questions, which I think we've done before. So according to the table, 1/4 of the original radioactive carbon is present in the fossil. What is a fossil's age? So if you have 1/4, 1/4 of the original remaining in the carbon-14, so carbon-14 is got a half-life of 573 years. So that is to say 1/2 of it. So 1/2 of carbon-14 would be broken down, would remain in 5730 years. So 1/4 of the remaining of carbon-14 would remain after how many years? So after 5730 plus 5730. So that is going to give you 11,460, which means the answer should be A. I mean, the answer should be C, sorry. So the next one, it says, what era followed the mass extinction? So what era actually followed the mass extinction? I think you remembered, I just mentioned just now, when the mass extinction, when it happened. So which era is actually followed the mass extinction? The answer is Mesozoic era. So the Mesozoic era followed the mass extinction. So meaning the answer is B. So this question is asking you, which is the half-life of the radioactive isotope shown in the graph, which we see here. So how do you know the half-life from the graph? So this is 100%. So half-life is going to be something around 50%. So let's say something around this place. So you trace it to the graph, and it's going to fall on 18. So that means the answer is A. Assuming that you can only date a material that has at least 1% of the radioisotope remaining, which age would be too old to date with this isotope? So it's going to be the oldest of the oldest of it. So which is going to be 125 years, because at least 1% would still be enough. But from here, it's not going to remain anything, because it's going to be 0 remaining. So there's going to be nothing. So it's going to be too old to date anything which is 125 years. So which isotope would be best for measuring the age of a rock layer? Estimated to be about 1 million years. So it's pretty easy. You're going to look at the half-life. So the half-life is days. So which of this half-life has a value of 1 million or more is going to be beryllium-10. So the answer is beryllium-10. Which fossil type provides the most anatomic information to paleontologists? So any fossil type which would maintain the anatomical feature is going to be something that actually freezes, or that actually make the organism to remain the way they were. So which is amber. Amber is a kind of elastic material which is found in trees. So when organisms drop in this amber, so it preserves these organisms exactly the way they were. And so after it solidifies with these organisms in it, it remains the same. And you can see through it's transparent. So that's the reason it's a very good fossil type for the paleontologists. So I think you all had a nice time. If you have a question, please send me a message in the chat. Thank you very much.